I know as a beginner, eyeshadow can seem like one of the most daunting things to do in your makeup routine, but I'm here to show you that it's really easy with a few easy and simple steps. So let's get into it. I've brought you guys up close and personal. What you want to do is make sure that you clean your lids. Number one, if you have oily skin, and especially oily around the lid area, guys, it is so critical that you make sure that you clean that area. You see, the very same way that before we start applying any makeup or any skincare on our face, we always cleanse. You want to do the same thing for your eyes. Area close to my eyebrows, just on the lid, essentially where I am placing my eyeshadow, like so. Now let's talk about base. What are you going to use to be able to make sure that your makeup, number one, has that long longevity or that long lasting effect, and number two, it also intensifies. Personally, I always love to go in with the Ben Nye Clown White. It is a literal white base and it is very thick, and what I love about it is, especially when you're using it for like very intense and bright colors like the yellows, the pinks, the blues, it really intensifies. And similarly, even when you're doing a nude look. But if you don't have that, because I've noticed that a lot of makeup artists are the ones who usually stock up on this, your normal concealer would work perfectly. What I would put as a disclaimer, however, when it comes to concealer, is make sure that you're using a hydrating concealer as opposed to a mattifying concealer. I have found that hydrating concealers work better and they wear a bit more as opposed to the mattifying concealers, but it's all up to you. If you find that the mattifying concealers work better for you because maybe you have oily skin or you have combination skin, then well and good, but I do recommend a hydrating primer. One of the most, I would say, common ones is this one by Illegal, and what you want to make sure to do is go in either number one with a shade that is almost the exact skin tone as your skin tone if you're going for a very subtle, or you can go for a lighter shade when you want to have that intensity in terms of your look. So it all depends on you. Personally, I can use it, but I just prefer using this just because I really love how intense it is. However, when you're using this, I do recommend again going in with a very small amount because it is a very thick product, but let me tell you, it does the job, gets the job done. So I'm gonna be going in with a fluffy brush. That one is in the product side, so we've tackled the products. Now let's go into a few of the tools that you're going to be needing, and then we'll go to the technique. So number one, for my very thick eyeshadow base, I'm going to be going in with a fluffy brush that looks like this. As you guys can see, it's very fluffy and it's flat topped at the top. Of course, you can go in with something a bit fluffier like this. However, I do recommend, and I have found that these ones specifically works better for eyeshadow in terms of the matte colors. But especially when you're dealing with thicker complexion products, then you want to go in with a brush that is fluffy and dense, just so you can be able to blend it easily. So I'm going to pick just a little bit of my product onto my brush, pat and lift. What you want to do is create an even canvas that doesn't have any spaces and that is only in the area where you need it for the eyeshadow. So I'm just patting, lifting in very light motions. One thing with eyeshadow is you want to make sure you're just taking your time and not rushing as you are learning, and then now as you perfect your skill, then you're able to do it a bit faster. But in that process of learning, take your time. That is the name of the game. Practice often and just take your time. First thing that I do is I like to set my brow bone. It is not a must, but I do like to do it because I don't like that shininess right underneath. So the powder that I'm using is the Nedgewald compact powder in the shade Coco Cabana. You can be able to go in with any of your compact shades. Just make sure it's either your skin tone or lighter if you want that depth of feel to your brow bone. And then I'm just going to set underneath my eyebrows, just that area. We're not going into the area that has the white eyeshadow base. No, we're just setting that area right underneath the eyebrows because we're not going to be going in with any of the eyeshadow on that area. But then again, we don't want it to look shiny. As you guys can see, what I'm doing is just patting, lifting like so, and making sure that I have one nice even layer to it. I'm going to be going in with the shade Demure, this shade. And what you want to do, and especially for eyeshadow looks, is you want to go from lighter to darker so that it can be easier. But if you do know how to blend from darker to lighter, then well and good. Again, the brushes that I'm going to be using are fluffy brushes that look like this. Very beautiful, very fluffy, not too dense, and help to really distribute my product easily, especially because I am working with matte eyeshadow. Okay, so here is a tip that I want to give you guys. What I like to do is take my brush, again I'm using the fluffy brush, pick up my product like so, and have it on my brush, and then I'm going to go in with the same brush that I used to apply my eyeshadow base, and then just blend it out. As you guys can already see, it has already creased, so I'm going to blend it out, and then immediately I've made sure that I have no creases on my eyelid. I will immediately go in with my product and apply it. What you want to avoid doing is applying eyeshadow on an area that has already creased, because essentially you will be setting that crease. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start applying that color in my outer V, and I'll start by first pushing like that, and then I'm going to slightly extend it into my inner corner like so. So I'm just patting, lifting, and then now after that whole area is set, then I can go in and then just slowly start building up that color like so. Okay, so the next color that I'm going to be going into is this mid brown, and then later I'm going to go into this darker shade. What essentially you want to do is just build up your colors according to the intensity that you want. So the more the intensity, the more the color build up, and the more the layers or the shade that you're going to be using. So starting with a lighter shade, and then a deeper shade, and then a deeper shade, and then a deeper shade. And essentially, if you even want to take it all the way to black, you can do the same. Okay, so again, I'm going to pick up my product, pick up that specific shade. This one is in the shade Henna. Pick it up on my brush, and then what I want to do is do the exact same thing. And as you guys can see, this is the trick. Don't do it freehand. You want to use your pinky finger as an anchor to your face. And then here's another thing. Where you hold the brush is really important. So if you want more control with the brush, you want to make sure that you're holding it as close to the brush or bristles as you possibly can, in a way that is comfortable. But when you're blending out a general area, then you can always hold it a bit further on. So I'm going to hold it close to the bristles like so that I can be able to get that control. And then I'm going to just start very lightly. Do not use a lot of pressure. Whether it's in foundation, whether it's in your eyeshadow, whether it's in your eyebrows, do not use a lot of pressure, just very little pressure. So I'm going to redo the same thing, but almost on the inner part of my initial first color. I don't want to take it all the way to the edge of that first color. I want to maintain it within that area. So I'm just going to intensify that color as much as I would like it to, and then keep going back and forth. And you want to make sure that this outer V, this is what I mean by the outer V, that you're really concentrating your product over there. And again, you don't drag your eyeshadow all the way to your eyebrow area. You've worked so hard on your eyebrows, you don't want to take your eyeshadow and then cover everything that you have been using. And then once you do that, you're gonna go again with the initial shade that you used, and then where the two meet, you're just going to very lightly blend in the two colors, just so we can have that division of here is where the first color is, and it's blended into the second color, into the third color, etc. So I'm just going back and forth, making sure that all my edges are very nice and diffused like so. You can decide to stop at this point, but I want to give it a bit more depth, so I'm going to go in with an even darker color. I'm going to be using the shade Cocoa, this one, and the number of colors that you use is entirely dependent on you and on how intense or dark you want it to be. So I'm again going with the fluffy brush, but as you can see, this brush is slightly domed on the top part, and then I'm going to do the exact same thing. And then I'm going to concentrate that product right on the outer V, and then very lightly bring it into the inner corner, but not too much, because I don't want it to be the main star of the show. So I'm going to build up that brown, make sure it's to the intensity that I want on the outer V, and then slightly bring it inside. Okay, so I am done with the blending of everything on the outer corner. We're gonna be going into the blending on the inner corner. I'm gonna be using a fluffy brush. You can use a brush that looks either like one of these that is rounded but also dense enough for you to be able to have that pickup of the product that you need. So I'm gonna be going with a fluffy rounded dense brush like this, and then I'm going to be going into the pink, and you can substitute this for whatever color you want, whether it's a nude, a red, a matte, whatever color. Even layer of it on my brush like that. And then again, you remember when we were talking about the creasing? As you guys can see, I do have a bit of creasing on my eyes, so I'll just go in with again my brush, and only in the area that I'm going to be applying that pink shadow. And again, if you have hooded eyes, I do recommend you lifting your eyebrows a bit upwards so that you can be able to have more room to work with. I'm just going to blend out any of the creasing, make sure I have an even base to work on, and then immediately I'm gonna go in with my color, tap away the excess, and then just part lift, part lift, part lift. As you guys can see, I'm concentrating in the shape that I want, which is that semicircular shape. So that's the shape that I'm maintaining so that I can have the eyeshadow in just that placement and not above. As you can see, it looks really nice, but it's not yet blended. So I'm going to go in with the exact colors on the areas that I had blended so that I can blend the two edges of those products. So the first brush that I'm going to be going into is the black. So I'm just going to smoke out that edge as I had done before, and I'm not adding any product. I'm just using whatever is left on my brush. And guys, especially if you're a beginner, take your time when you're working with black, because black can be quite a harsh color to work with. So if you're not careful, it can end up messing your whole look. So the rule with black is just go lightly, a section at a time, until you get the result that you want. So I'm going in with the dark brown and then just blending out the edges of that, and then I'm going in with the lighter brown of that, and then we're basically doing everything that we did all over to make sure that we don't have any harsh edges. The thing with this look is we do not want to create a very cut crease like look, so we want everything to look nice and diffused and even. So I'm going in with each and every one of those colors just to blend out each color into the other one. And basically we're done with the look. I'm gonna go and hop on a pair of lashes and then come back and show you guys how the whole look turned out. This is the final look with the lashes, the foundation, the base, everything. I know I haven't done an in-depth tutorial on this, but definitely make sure that you click up on this video over here to be able to know which foundation is for your specific skin type if you are struggling with foundation. And let me know in the comment section down below what problematic areas you guys have, so I can be able to know what videos I can do to address those problems. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on our next video. Mwah.